There's a moment every entrepreneur hits. You're working harder than you ever have. The calendar is packed, but the inbox feels endless. That to-do list never gets shorter, and somehow the business still isn't growing the way that it should be. But the problem isn't effort. The problem is leverage. Welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, John Davidson, and every week I'm sitting down with founders and top performers who have found that lever. The hire, the system, that mindset shift that changed everything. This show is for the business owner who's ready to stop being the bottleneck and start being the architect. Let's get into it. Another episode of the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, John Davidson, and I am especially excited for this episode. I know I say that on every episode, and I do love all my guests, but this is one that I have been looking forward for weeks. And the reason is this is a topic that is so relevant to today. It's changing all the time. A lot of people might think they know something about it, but it's always ever changing. And what we are talking today is AEO. And joining me is Nicole Baker. She is the founder and chief brand strategist of Baker Strategy Lab. Nicole, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Well, we have to thank our friend and former guest, Carrie Hughes, for introducing us, based up in Portland. So if you're looking to buy a house in Portland, Beaverton area, hit up Carrie. But we are not here to talk real estate. We're here to talk AEO.
Yes.
Which, for those listening, Nicole, what is AEO?
So AEO is optimizing your brand to appear in AI searches. So that's going to be searches on ChatGPT, Claude, your Google overviews, and Gemini. And it's different than traditional SEO that people have focused on for search results for so long.
Yeah. So, a lot of us in business, of course, we know search engine optimization, SEO. And so we're, used to the traditional ways of making sure that we pop up when you type in on Google looking for something. But, share with us, how is AEO different from SEO?
Sure. So traditional SEO is basically just looking at your website, and it's looking for keywords and keyword phrases that are matching what people are searching for. AEO is a much broader spectrum. So it's going to look at your website to make sure that you have content and information that's valuable to what people are searching, but it also wants to know what other people are saying about you. So instead of just looking at your website, it's going to look at the entire web and see what people are saying about your company and how that relates to the questions that are being asked on an AI search.
Very interesting. So is it doing that because it has the ability to do that when maybe we didn't have the ability to do that in the past? Or is there some other reason why the search is including other things than we are traditionally familiar with SEO?
Sure. So I'll be honest, I don't understand the back end technical side of all of this. I just know that it's basically expanding what your general Google or Yahoo searches are looking for. So it wants to trust when it recommends you that you are the best brand, the best company, the best product that it can be recommending. So it's no longer just taking your word for it. It wants to know what the general public is saying about you. So outside of just looking at your website, it's going to look at things like your user reviews. It's going to look at places like LinkedIn and YouTube and Reddit where people are giving feedback and people are making recommendations. So it really wants to know your overall online reputation.
Very, very interesting. So now another question for you. If I'm ranking well in Google searches, does that mean that I'm necessarily showing up in AI searches?
That is an excellent question. And that's what a lot of people are assuming. But recent studies are finding that 40% of companies that are top 3 on Google searches aren't showing up in AI searches at all. The other caveat to that is that there's no consistency in AI search results. So you can look at a Google overview compared to a ChatGPT and your answers are going to be different. Same thing, if you ask the same question to ChatGPT 10 times, your answers are going to be different. So it's it's a little more arbitrary in measuring the results for that. But what I can say is that the foundation of AEO is good SEO. So I'm getting asked all the time, does that mean that we don't have to worry about SEO anymore? And absolutely not. So the technical foundation for SEO, which is going to be your headers and your meta tags and all of the backend stuff in your website, is still going to be required for AEO. And it's still going to look for really robust data specific information on your website. So building out product pages and service pages that are full of information that users are searching for. And just making it really easy for websites to find the information that people are asking in the AI searches.
Yeah, that's really good insight that, it's not just, hey, we don't have to do what we did in the past because this is all new. It's no, let's make sure we're building that strong foundation. Plus,
yes,
with this new technology, we're doing these other things as well. Let me ask you, how do AI searches decide what info to share?
So they're looking at 4 criteria. It's the acronym EEAT. So they want to know that you have experience in your industry. They want to know that you are an expert. They want to know that you have authority in the industry. And then finally, that you're trustworthy. So it's looking for content on the internet that's triggering all of those 4 things. So the more robust you are in all 4 areas, the more likely you are to be recommended in AI search results.
Okay. And so that's expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. Now, are those all weighted the same, or are some of those weighted differently?
That's where it starts getting super complicated, because AI search also looks at the intent of the user question. So are they at a phase where they are just looking for recommendations and information? Are they looking to make a purchase? So depending on how the questions are phrased, it gives different weight to those areas. And I'll be honest, AI search is the Wild West. We're all guessing. We're all taking the data that's coming in and making summations based on what we know. But the reality is we really don't know. So what you're hearing one day could change the next day. And honestly, I'll be sitting in a webinar and then an hour later be in another webinar where the information is contradicting what the first webinar said. So we're all kind of just doing our best to dig through the data and make common sense decisions based on that.
Yeah, it seems like the whole AI universe is very much wild, wild west these days. And we hear so much about the prompts, the importance of specific prompts when asking AI. And so that makes a lot of sense with this EEAT that, you really have to be specific about what you're searching and why you're searching for it so that you can get the proper results there. Now, obviously, go ahead.
I was just going to say something else that's really interesting is that in traditional searches, the average search length was 5 to 7 words. So it might be best fence builder near me. But with AI search, the average is 20 words. So people are asking for more specific information and broader in the sense of they want to know what is out there. So you have to keep that in mind when you're writing content, is that it's not these short keyword phrases anymore. You're answering specific questions.
Yeah, I know, just, being self-aware about my searches. Usually when I'm searching on Google, I'm just trying to put in words that will, like certain words, I'm not putting in like a full sentence. Like my mom will type something into Google, it's this full, perfectly punctuated, sentence. And I'm just kind of like fence, building, McKinney, Texas, or something like that. And then with AI, we're so much more specific, and really interesting to hear how it's finding all these things based on probably just the difference between a word or two. You're going to come up with some different results.
Absolutely. And the other characteristic that we're finding is that people tend to ask 7 follow-up questions on average. So they're putting in an elaborate search to answer a question. So I'm looking for someone to build me a fence out of cedar that's friendly neighbor, and this is my price budget, who would you recommend? And then from there, they're asking additional questions. What does the timeline look like? What is the process? And then it's going to come up with a list of vendors. And then, okay, can you tell me the pros and cons of each one? And you're doing such a deep dive and going down a rabbit hole really on topics.
Yeah, and in my consumer behavior on that, I'm always thinking like I'm getting way more specific and I'm asking more questions because I can get that information.
Yes.
Where on Google, usually it's okay, I'm finding the person and then maybe I'm calling or emailing them and then I'm asking those questions, where AI is kind of that, for better or for worse, a one-stop shop for all of the information that I can get in one place very, very quickly. Now, obviously there are multiple different AI platforms. We have ChatGPT, we have Google AI, Claude, Perplexity, Manus, what have you. I'm sure another one's going to pop up tomorrow. That's the greatest thing since sliced bread that we haven't even heard of yet. Which of those should I be focusing on with AE?
That's a great question. I get asked this a lot. And let me ask you a question. Do you know who the first search engine was?
Ooh, the first one ever? I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to guess Yahoo.
Oh, good job. Most people say Google because that's what most people are using these days. So the point being that at this point, we don't know. It could go to anybody. I think that you're going to start seeing players shake out in different realms. So I specifically work with AI search. So obviously Google is a leader in that because it already has the Google search market.
Right.
What I can tell you is right now ChatGPT is winning and they've got about 30% of the search market. So we're just kind of waiting to see. And I think that different industries and different professions are leaning toward different platforms. So your engineers, your product managers, they're going to Claude. They want the technical, a little less fluff. I think consumers are leaning toward ChatGPT and Google right now. So AI search, all of them are looking for the same thing. It's just like with SEO and regular search. Google came out as the top winner for search, but the SEO practices are the same across platforms. So it's kind of the same thing with AI search. At this point, just have really good AEO, and whoever comes out on top, you're going to be performing well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm curious how it's going to shake out. And, people who are very familiar with AI, they'll talk about a workflow, right? So they'll say, okay, so like I get I don't know, let's say we're building a presentation, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm going to get all my research and everything here on this platform, but it doesn't do a great image generation, or, it doesn't do a great job with, putting together a presentation that I want to share visually, right? And so then I'm going to take this and I move it over to, fill in the blank, and we're going to do it here.
Right.
And so I'm really interested to see how, because AI is kind of a one-stop shop in a lot of ways, but I'm curious as, the competitors in the market kind of go to battle in this industry and kind of figure out like, oh, we're really good on this and we're really good on this, kind of how that silos off,
right?
Or the opposite. Do you have, just based on your experience, any prediction on which way that might go? I know nobody knows for sure, but I'm just curious with your background if you kind of have an idea.
From a consumer perspective, I think Google is going to lead from a consumer search perspective. Again, going back to, they already have the market cornered and they already have all of the data from regular Google searches and those people searching. So it's already ahead of the game over at ChatGPT. Although people really like ChatGPT because I don't want to say safe, but it's less intimidating than a Claude or some of these other newer ones that are coming out. So to me, from a consumer side, I think ChatGPT and Google are going to be the two that are battling it out in the end.
Yeah, I think it really comes from all that infrastructure that you already have built out, right? I have a story I share sometimes. I used to be the head of partnerships over at GameStop. And so, Twitch It was a big platform
Mm-hmm.
for live streaming, still is in video games and esports. And we had an agency do a bunch of research for us because we wanted to know which platform should we focus on because
Mm-hmm.
we were going to launch this whole live streaming content initiative that never happened. But a little behind the scenes here. And so our agency did all this research, which platform is it, blah, blah, blah. And we were thinking it was going to be Twitch, just because Twitch was known as the gaming platform. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
came back and it was Google, and it wasn't even close. But a huge part of why it was Google was the entire Google ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said if you're on YouTube, that's also attached to Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
And so because GameStop is a physical retail centric business, now we can retarget people through ads when they're
Yeah.
close to a GameStop on Google Maps, and then obviously the SEO with Google. And so, I see definitely ChatGPT is, probably winning the marketing war from awareness and, you know, uh, uh, I don't know. I think when people think AI now, they're thinking ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
the average person. But it's gonna be interesting to see, if those same traditional things prove to be true once again, or if in this wild, wild west, it's all brand new.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one question I have is about, sales cycles and sales funnels for those listening who are using, AI search for those purposes. How is AI search affecting sales funnels and sales funnels?
This is what I think is so fascinating because if you would have asked me this question 3 months ago, my answer would have been different. So, when all of this started coming out in the beginning of the year, the thought was people were going to be coming to you lower in the funnel. They've already dug in and done the research. They're ready to be sold to now. They don't need
Hmm.
to get the background information. But what's really interesting with the clients that I'm working with is it seems to be the opposite. So
Hmm.
people are getting information from their AI search from Chat or Google. But number one, they want to validate it because they haven't gone to your website to validate the information. And then
Ah,
secondly, AI search is giving them generic information. So, for example, costs of services, it's not accurate. So
right.
when people are taking that phone call, the person on the other end is really shocked about what it's going to cost because ChatGPT told them it was going to be this number, but it's actually 2 times that number.
Uh-oh.
So it's kind of been the opposite effect that people were expecting it to have, which again, I find fascinating. And so how do we counter that? What do we put in our content so that the AI searches are pulling more accurate information? Or is it we are just going to, for the time being, have to validate that information because people aren't clicking to the websites to get it?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but anytime I'm using AI search, I just have kind of in the back of my mind, this might not be accurate.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And that's not something that I don't have that same thought when I'm just on Google, let's say pre-AI,
Mm-hmm.
because of course you have the Google AI above all the search results now. But,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm just typing something into Google, I'm fully confident that's what's coming in is going to be accurate. And, maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm always just so careful with
Yeah.
AI, just thinking, I got to double check this. I need to look at some other sources to really confirm that what I'm looking at is true.
I think it's interesting. I think what we're finding is that if it plays into what consumers want, so a lower price, maybe they're not going to validate
Of
that it's
course.
true. Because that sounds really
Yeah.
good to them. They maybe had over in their mind it was going to be more, but if it's telling them it's $5,000 less than they were expecting, they're going to stick with that. So I do think if you're somebody who's using it a lot right now, you know about hallucinations and you know about the misinformation that's coming out.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the consumer that's coming in. As we're adding more consumers, I think you're still going to have to be playing this game of answering questions and validating information.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into some more perhaps misconceptions
Okay.
of AI and AEO, but before we do
Mm-hmm.
that, let's listen to a message from our sponsor, Sphere Rocket.
Business owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time-consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right, we are back here with Nicole Baker. She is the founder and chief brand strategist for Baker Strategy Lab, and she is helping us understand a very complex and nuanced industry in AEO. What is AEO? Well, it's basically AI search engine optimization, and so it's important to understand these various nuances. Nicole, thank you again for all your insights here today. So, one of the great gifts, if you will, of AI, especially for a business person, an entrepreneur, a founder, is the efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now I feel like I can get so much done so much faster. And so, especially when I'm thinking about, well, different forms of content generation, right? I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I can pump out so much more content. This is going to help me so much, from an awareness, from an SEO perspective. Is AI truly more efficient for blogs and social media when you take in the AEO perspective of things?
Well, there's good news and there's bad news around that. So, unfortunately, what we're finding is that AI search engines are not accepting AI generated content. So, you're not necessarily getting penalized for putting up a blog that was created with AI, but it's ignoring it completely. So, you're not getting any of the AEO benefits from that blog. Secondly,
Uh-oh.
yeah, exactly. So you think you're doing something really, really beneficial for your website, but it was basically nothing. Same thing with social media captions. The other thing that came into play just this month was the Article 50 of the European Union AI Act.
Okay.
So what this is saying is anything that modifies a product or a person with AI has to be labeled. And there's huge penalties if you don't.
Okay.
So
So this is kind of similar, just to pause you there for a second. This is kind of similar to like in the food industry with commercial images. I have a friend who shoots food, does photography for all these large food companies, and they have to use real food because you're misrepresenting the product if you're using a model of a burger or ice cream for some. Okay, keep going.
Yep. It's exactly the same. So it wants to know if anything's been modified with AI. Now, this just came out August 2nd, so it's brand new, and we're waiting to see what the ramifications are. But right now, Instagram and Facebook, actually all the platforms, are requiring you to label anything that's AI generated. The other interesting thing that just recently came out is that LinkedIn now allows viewers to tag something that they think is AI generated. So we have to be even extra careful to make sure that if it is human created, that it doesn't look AI created, because other people can start tagging it. Now, my personal opinion, I don't think that's going to last very long, because you're going to get competitors coming in. It's just such a gray area. But that's a huge one. So I think we're going to see that expanding more and more. The other side of it is that consumers, as soon as they think something is AI created, 50% will stop engaging with that brand completely, because consumers are sick of AI. They don't want AI agents. They don't want AI bots on the phone, and they don't want AI generated content. So that's the bad news. Don't just put up anything that's AI content. Everything needs to be human touched. But what you can use AI for, if you're writing a blog, for example, tell it what you're talking about, ask it what the key points are that you should mention, ask it for an outline, but then you go in and you create the content yourself, so it's human created. And then the basics, do not use an M dash. Whatever you do not use an M dash. Do not have three things.
Do we know why AI uses M dashes so frequently? I have never
no
in my
idea.
life used an M dash. I didn't even know what it was called.
Same.
And then now that I just see everything, and now I've got to prompt my AI, do not use an M dash when.
Exactly. Yes. The other one is if you have a list, 3 items in a list.
Okay.
So AI, for whatever reason, likes to put 3 items in a list. So make sure you're adding a 4th one.
Interesting. The other thing I've noticed AI does as well in sentence structure. It says such and such is not. It actually is, rather than just saying such and such is fill in the blank. I always see it making, like, confronting 2 sides of the same coin, saying this pen is not black, it is in fact white. Bad example.
Yes.
But you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's just so interesting. Do we know why those things are happening, or these are one of these mysteries of AI?
I just think it's one of those things. I have no idea. I would think it goes back to how it was trained and what it was referencing when it was training the models, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah. So I want to get a little granular here for our audience on this issue of AI created blogs and social media, because it's so important, obviously, if this is not showing up and we think that it's actually helping us, right? So, you prefaced it a little bit about, okay, do an outline or ask for, certainly, I don't know, great points, bullet points or whatever, and then you write it yourself. So when AEO is deciding if something is AI generated or not, is it because it recognizes that, like, the structure, the M dashes, what have you, appears to be in that style? Like, if I were to write something, and let's just say let's say I'm a young person who was raised on AI, basically, right? And so my writing style is extremely close to AI. Would AI then decide potentially that my human written posts are AI generated, or is it identifying that in some other way?
This is another really interesting topic that has a lot of movement right now. I just read about a legal case where a student was failed from a class because his paper was deemed AI generated, and he proved that it wasn't, and he sued the university and he won.
Wow.
So in the past, I think, because I've actually used those things, I've written a blog and then put it into one of the tools and said, was this created by AI? And it was said, most likely, but I know that I wrote it. So I think, again, I don't understand how all of that works, but I think that it was based mostly on structure and things, but that's now changing with this Act 50 or this Article 50, because the AI tools are now starting to put digital watermarks in their.
See, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because
so it's
then
not something go ahead.
Yeah. So okay. Now I'm just sorry, I'm going through all these scenarios in my mind. I find this so fascinating, and I really appreciate your expertise on this. So, digital watermark. So that's going to be the future. That makes sense, right? Because then you're avoiding some pretty big mistakes there. So if I were to just then, let's say ChatGPT to write a social media caption for me, right? Let's say a few sentences. If I just read that and I type it word for word myself, in the world of AI watermarks, is it now human generated?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So what you don't want to do is copy and paste, because that's going to carry over the digital watermark. And what people need to understand is it's not something that we can see. It's in the back end code. It's a series of numbers that identifies it as AI and tells the search engine that it's AI. So don't copy and paste. You could type it, but again, my theory right now and what I tell my clients is we don't know how strategic and how smart this is going to get. So you're better off just creating human content now so you don't have to redo it down the road.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I would just say really quick, I actually love to write, and I take some pride in my writing, especially my LinkedIn posts. And so, you always get that prompt of like, hey, you want AI to write this better for you, or, and it's so tempting. But one thing that I always think is I don't want to lose the skill.
Very smart.
And like anything, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And so that's kind of where my mind goes with that thing. But yeah, keep going with your point there.
Well, to that point, it kills me that these tools are trying to get us to use AI, but they're telling us we're not going to count it. It doesn't do you any good to use AI. So it's, as a marketer, it's just maddening because I'm trying to tell clients you can't take the shortcuts. You have to do it the old-fashioned way. But I was going to get into with this Article 50 and the digital watermarks. Canva is something that's been a hot topic this week. Because when you go into Canva, you have an image, you took the image, it's your image, it's not AI generated. But let's say I use the magic eraser because there's a person in the background, or I want to change my sweater to blue. Now that's considered AI modified. So the big question around, and again, they're not coming out with the answers, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But is using those tools in AI then going to carry over when I post that on social media or on my website?
Right.
So that's something.
And is there a difference between AI modified and AI generated?
Right. And at this point, what I'm hearing this week is no, that it's just for the specifics of this act or this article that with the EU. No, any kind of AI modification equals AI creation. But we're also hearing that maybe some things they're willing to overlook. So if it's a magic eraser, if I'm removing a background, because I'm not necessarily changing the content, I'm just editing it. But there are a couple workarounds for that. So it would be going back to Photoshop, doing it manually where you're not asking the computer to do it for you. The other workaround, which I don't know if this is shady or not, but screenshotting the image you've created, because now it's a new separate image. It doesn't have that watermark with it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Again, this is super brand new. So we're just going to have to sit back and kind of wait and see what happens with it. But again, from my perspective, use human created content and images.
Yeah. It's, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction, right? So it's going to be really interesting over the next weeks, months, years to see how these things evolve, because we're going to do one thing, that's going to do another, and then we're going to continually, how do we get around it, right?
Yes. And if you're a business
sorry. Yeah. No, go ahead.
If you're a business that's looking for short-term gains, then you can do all of this. But if you're really trying to build a foundation and you want to be around for decades, just do it the right way now so you don't have to redo it or worry about it down the road.
Yeah, that's great feedback there. Now, labeling, I want to make sure that our listeners are accurately understanding how to label things if they are AI generated. Is this kind of like the hashtag ad, like we've seen with influencer marketing and things like that, or how would I properly label something if I'm legally required to do so, in the way that is accepted?
What I've seen is in platforms or your scheduling platforms, there's a button that you click that says AI generated, yes or no, or AI modified, something along those lines.
Oh, so it's asking you the question and you're answering. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I could just see hashtag AI generated would just kill absolutely any sort of engagement, anything. In fact, one thing I see, LinkedIn is my most common platform, and I see these people with the AI headshots, and I've seen a lot of people advocating for them, like, oh, get your headshot. And my just honest human reaction, I don't trust anybody who has an AI headshot.
Right.
I'm just thinking my first interaction with you is not genuine and is fake.
Right.
How do I know if anything else you're doing is real? And so it's interesting how as this absolutely incredible technology advances more and more and more, in some ways, we're defaulting back to just
Yes.
the human original way of doing things. I do have one quick story to tell you, and I want to get your reaction. I'm curious if you heard about it, and then we'll round this out with a few more of your insights. But I saw on Twitter this viral tweet where this college professor, this is a few weeks ago, and so he's having trouble with his students, cheating with ChatGPT on their, they're taking tests online, right? And so it's a question, and you type in the answer, right? So this genius professor, he's got the normal just black text on a white background question, right? Well, in white text on the white background, he add in the word Madagascar in the answer in a way that doesn't make any sense. And the question was on, I think, the Industrial Revolution. And so in the United States, and so obviously Madagascar would have nothing to do with that. And the thing that's crazy, if you highlight the whole thing, you'll even see it.
Yeah.
Because then it's a blue background with white text, right? But these students, not only did they not even see it when they copied it or pasted it, but 31 of 33 students failed because they did not even proofread the answer, which had Madagascar and all sorts of ridiculous, reference in all sorts of ridiculous ways in the answer. And so that's a really, really funny, but also concerning sign of the times.
That's like a whole nother can of worms about what we're doing to society with all this AI.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you going down that rabbit hole with me. A couple more questions that I have for you on AEO here. How are businesses measuring the ROI of their AEO efforts currently?
Another excellent question. Unfortunately, there is not a reliable way to do so. So all of your analytic tools, Google Analytics, SEMrush, HubSpot, all of those are adding AI analytic elements. But what I'm finding is that none of the data matches between the platforms. So one can be telling me I'm crushing it. Another one is like, we can't even find you. I know. And that's what's really hard is I'm telling clients they need to spend more money, but we're not really going to know if it works or not. I don't have any way of showing you the results. So that's kind of a hard sell. But it's really, I think, taking a deeper dive into the leads and the clients that are coming in. Are we getting where you need to be? Are we finding your people? Again, they might be coming to you at different points of the sales funnel, but is that your target audience? And if the answer is yes, then it's working. We're doing our job. The other thing is to go into the platforms and search yourself, see what comes up, search your industry.
Right.
How is your reputation compared to others? So just being the consumer and seeing what is being pushed out.
And it sounds like with, the nuance of all these different prompts and the variety of different answers, you're probably going to want to search yourself a number of times with a number of different styles of prompts to kind of find out all of the feedback that's coming back through AEO, right?
And then take it with a grain of salt. We've gotten away from hard statistics with marketing results because there's just no way to measure it right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Go ahead.
Down the road, we're going to have the results just like we have Google Analytics and all the tools now. We're just not there yet.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is I'm sure the demand is going to produce those tools that as people start to ask for them, somebody's going to be out there, maybe even listening to this episode and say, "Hey, I'm going to build a technology that tracks all that good stuff because everybody needs it."
Call me
yeah, call Nicole Baker.
I need that tool. Call me.
I just have a couple more questions here for you, Nicole. One is, we've talked about all of these different complicated, nuanced, complex things with this brand new technology that we don't know, which way it's going tomorrow or the next day. But, for our audience that is really saying, hey, I appreciate all this information, but what can I do today that we know is effective? Can you give me 3 easy things that businesses can do right now to improve their digital and local marketing?
Sure. So the first one is make sure your website has an FAQ section, because AI search is answering questions. So if you can do some research and find out what questions are being asked and then list that question with the answer on your website, you're just making it easier for ChatGPT to find the answer they're looking for. In addition to that, if you have a multi-page website that's pretty robust, take a look at your top 5 to 10 pages and put specific FAQs on those pages that are being visited a lot. So again, the more we can be answering the questions that are being asked, the better you're going to appear in the searches. The second one is expand your thought of your social media strategy. So everybody's on Facebook and Instagram, but all of the AI search platforms are pulling from YouTube, Reddit, and LinkedIn as their top 3. Pretty standard across the board. Some of that changes here and there. But if you're not posting on those 3 platforms, you're missing opportunities. I think YouTube is a great one. People think they have to do these really highly produced videos to throw up on YouTube. But whatever you're posting as a reel on Instagram, throw it over as a short on a channel on YouTube. So I took a look at my numbers today. So I just recently started my business a couple months ago. So in the last 28 days, I posted 8 shorts. So it's just the same reels that I've been posting over on Instagram. I have 2,322 views with a total watch time of 2.3 hours. So YouTube is pushing out these shorts because they want to compete with reels. Yeah. And it's being estimated that about 60% of the people that are watching YouTube shorts are not watching reels. So it's a whole new audience that you can be reaching. Plus, you're really helping your AEO by putting the data and the information out there. Same thing with LinkedIn. Whatever you're posting regularly on your social media, throw it up on your LinkedIn as well. It doesn't have to get a lot of engagement. It doesn't have to get likes and comments. But if the information's there, it's attaching it to your business and your name so that when people are doing these AI searches, you have that EEAT behind you. And then lastly is treat your Google business profile like a social media platform as well. So there's a section called updates in your Google business profile. It's over on the right-hand side if you scroll down. You should be posting whatever you're posting on Facebook and Instagram there as well, because Google wants to see that you're consistently giving out information and that you're regularly updating that profile. So you want to be doing updates on your profile. You want to make sure that under products, even if it's services, you have really robust descriptions full of keyword phrases and answers to questions in there. And then your user reviews. Be pushing for your Google reviews to get those 5-star reviews on there.
That is such fantastic feedback. I know that, probably most viewers are familiar with and are doing some of those. But I think few people are doing all of those. And so it's really important to be aware of all of those and not skip any of them. Well, Nicole, last question for you, as you've provided so much incredible knowledge today. For those who are listening and say, okay, wow, my brain is full. It's a lot of new information. What I'm learning from this is I need an expert. How can people get in touch with you to work with you, Nicole?
Yes, I have a website over at bakerstrategylab.com. You can also find me on all the platforms at Nicole Baker and Baker Strategy Lab. Email me, Nicole at bakerstrategylab.com, and we'd love to see where you're at and how we can help you get some visibility.
Wonderful. I highly recommend it. I'll be following you there as well, Nicole. And thank you once again for providing your insights and expertise today on the Leverage Podcast.
Thanks, John.